He'll just be analyzing them. That's about it. All right. So explain what the Zimmerman telegram was, detail its significance, and how the telegram changed the course of World War I. What were some advantages for Mexico and Germany, as stated in this telegram? All right, so let's go over this real quick, guys. So Zimmerman telegram, what was it? What was a Zimmerman telegram? Chloe, go ahead. Yeah, good job. Good job. So Zimmerman, Arthur Zimmerman, he was like pretty much the Secretary of Defense for Germany at that time. And he reached out to Mexico. Why? Why would Germany reach out to Mexico? What was the point of that? Noah, go ahead. Yeah, good job. Good job. So in 1917, this is really coming to the close, coming to the end of World War I. Germany reaches out to Mexico to try to persuade Mexico in attacking the United States. Good. What would Mexico get in return if they did that? Tanner?
They would get New Mexico, Arizona.
Yeah, good job. And these were territories, obviously states that we acquired after the Mexican-American War. So Germany was trying to appease to Mexico to attack the U.S. to try to prevent the United States from sending troops, armament, supplies across the Atlantic to Europe. Okay, their goal was to try to prevent the United States from entering the war in Europe. If they could do that, then they could have an easier shot at maybe potentially winning this war in Europe. Not only did the territories that Mexico would acquire, but also Germany would support them in fighting the United States. Okay, so that was the telegram that was intercepted by who? Who intercepted this message? Cassidy? Yeah, Great Britain. Good job. And how do they intercept that message? Yeah, telegraphs, right? Yeah, telegraph communication cables that really scatter across the whole world at that point. And it was really amazing, actually, that advancement that they had. And really controlling communication was something of a benefit for Great Britain, a huge benefit. They could exactly understand what Germany was trying to relay back to, let's say, the trenches, to the front lines. And Germany tried to use codes to try to disguise their messages and their strategies. But with Great Britain, they're great at cracking codes, right? And this was really the first emergence of code breakers in warfare because these new forms of technology with communication and telegraphs. And yeah, Great Britain controlled all the communication. So in all reality, there's many people that say, oh, was this telegram, the Zimmerman note, was this actually real, or was this fabricated by Great Britain to try to get the United States involved in World War I? No one really knows. But what did it do? Ultimately, this was the reason why the United States joined the war. Okay, we talked about the Lusitania. When did that sink? Tanner?
1915.
Yeah, 1915. Good job. So 2 years after the Lusitania sank, finally the United States joins. It just goes to show that the U.S. wanted to try to stay isolated for majority of the war. Okay, they're going to try to stay out of it as long as possible. But with this Zimmerman telegram, enough's enough. Woodrow Wilson had no other decision, right? He had no other, I guess you could say, choice. He had to get involved because the American public were outraged by this. How could Germany reach out to another country like Mexico here into attacking the United States? Okay, this is an act of war. And that's exactly what it pushed for. All right, so for Germany, the advantages, well, they could prevent the US from getting involved in the war in Europe. And the advantages for Mexico is that they're going to gain support from Germany. And at the same time, they're gaining these territories back that they may have lost during that Mexican-American War. Was it realistic, though? Eddie, why wasn't it realistic? Why do you think this plan wouldn't work?
Well, because Mexico said that even if we get that close, they don't contain them as long as they would.
Yeah, there's no way that they could show their authority over the people, right? Okay, a lot of the people that were in these states now spoke English, right? Spanish-speaking population was very limited at that time. And it'd be really hard for Mexico to show their authority over these regions because there'd be a lot of rebellions, a lot of revolts, and a lot of the armaments, a lot of these weapon manufacturers that were located in the United States. Mexico didn't really have any, right? They relied on the United States for their weapons, actually. So in all reality, there's no way Mexico could have even stood a chance against this war, even if they would have potentially outlasted this war with the United States. And when you're looking at the two powers, the United States probably would have defeated Mexico within less than a year, most likely. So Would it delayed the timing of the United States getting over to Europe? Yeah, probably, but it just really wasn't realistic. Okay. Is there any questions on the Zimmerman telegram? So again, this is happening in 1917. We talked about the Lusitania. Okay, these are two influences for the United States to join the war on the Allied powers. The unrestricted submarine warfare shifted the U.S. Deciding with the Allied powers, and then eventually the Zimmerman telegram was the last straw. Okay, again, could have been fake, maybe, but the world wouldn't be like it is today if the United States wanted to join the war. Right? Who knows where the U.S. would be after this war if maybe we didn't join. So Zimmerman telegram, again, the last straw. All right, is there any questions on that? So if you see it on the test, the influences of the United States getting involved in the war, just think of the Lusitania and the Zimmerman telegram. All right, terms for today. I think I just have one for you. Oh, two. Selective Service Act of 1917 and propaganda. Propaganda. Okay, Selective Service Act of 1917. What do we have? Tanner, go ahead.
It basically required all men from the ages of 21 to register for the military.
All right, good job. Good job. So really building up to World War One, we had our army was large, it was advanced, but at the same point, we didn't have the type of weaponry advancements of, let's say, these European countries. So to try to increase our military and to try to get more people involved, the Selective Service Act was created in 1917. This wasn't the first military draft. Okay, we'll talk about this within the presentation. In the Civil War, okay, the draft in 1863, they had a lot of disruptions with it, a lot of issues, and okay, we'll talk about it today, why it was chosen the name Selective Service Act rather than just military draft. A lot of it because of riots, because a lot of destruction in the streets, which we'll talk about. Propaganda. What is propaganda? Kale, what do you have for propaganda?
Like basically ads and stuff.
Ads? Okay.
Over exaggerated.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So these are depictions of, go ahead, Cassie. Okay. All right. Yeah. So this is a way to try to persuade the American public, or let's say of another country, towards a certain viewpoint. and building up to World War I, the Selective Service Act, and really getting people more involved in the war. Propaganda was used heavily. And I'll show you a little bit of new forms of propaganda that was created at that time to try to show Germany in a dehumanized light. And what does dehumanization mean? What does that mean when you're dehumanizing something? What does that mean? What do we think? What do we think? Tanner, go ahead.
Treating them like they're not human.
Yeah, good job. So treating them like they are beasts or animals, okay? And that's exactly what America does, building up to World War I, and we'll talk about in World War II. Okay, propaganda pieces were shown Germany as apes, as monkeys, as gorillas, as they're bloodthirsty. And the reason for it was to try to depict a clear enemy, to try to disassociate them with actual humans, of actual people. And we'll talk more about that today with the propaganda pieces that I'll show. It's not always dehumanizing the enemy, but there's also, just like I said, getting more people involved with the military service. So I'm sure you've seen the propaganda piece with Uncle Sam. He's like, oh, we want you to join and enlist the military. Victory Gardens, that's a great example too, which we'll talk about more today. All right. Okay, let's get to the Selective Service Act here. All right, so the Selective Service Act, 1917, forced men to fight, military draft. 2.8 million men were drafted during the war. Okay, that's a lot. And we talked about at the start of World War I, who had the largest militaries, okay, by land, by soldiers, by people. And the United States was not on that list. Okay, we talked about how Germany was on it, Austria-Hungary, France, okay, Russia. Those countries had large numbers, large population involved in their military. United States, they were not at this point. Okay, we were really focused on isolation at this point, building up into World War I. We're trying to stay out of the war. So there really was no reason to get involved just yet or try to get the population involved in the war. Also with training, okay, the United States soldiers weren't really capable of fighting this new style of fighting in trench warfare. We had no idea what it was like. We had no idea what type of weapons and forms of technology were placed on the battlefield now. Okay, we just remember the Spanish-American War. And what was that called again? What was that Spanish-American War? What was another name for it, Tanner? 6 months, or the Splendid Little War, right? And it just goes to show that the US really had no idea what warfare was like anymore. The Spanish-American War was almost like a game. They hear the stories of it and they're glorifying it. They think it's almost like a game, like I said. And they don't see the repercussions of it. They don't see the effects of what warfare is right now. So this is going to be a shock to many American soldiers as they go over and fight in World War I in Europe with the trench warfare and the new weapons advancements that are on the battlefield. So yeah, there was a lot of popularity to get involved in the military at this point, just because really the only other war that Americans remember is the Spanish-American War, and that was so successful, right? That was so successful. So many people getting involved. There's also a lot of backlash to the Selective Service Act. Okay, it was almost divided right down the middle. Many people thought that this was infringing their rights, going against their rights and saying that the people shouldn't be pushed into military service if they do not want to be. All right. And there's many people that kind of avoided this draft in many cases. All right. So again, targeting men 18 to 25 and people of younger age tried to get involved as well. So 16, 17, there's many reports of US citizens joining in a draft even before they're 18. And the reason for it was at the time, there were forms of licensing, but you could easily forge it, right? You could easily just be mistaken as an older age. At this time, the Selective Service card, these draft cards were the only form of identification at that point. And it just goes to show how many people could join, really just a younger age. Again, very popular at this point, but still there's a lot of people that backlash against the Selective Service Act. All right, so like I said, individuals 18 to 25 received a registration card, a selective service card, showing that they could be chosen to go fight and train for war. Again, people dove into this. They wanted to glorify, they saw it as a game. And many people said no. So draft opposition, there's many people that were totally against the draft. They thought it was, again, infringing on their rights, just pushing them into military service, when in all reality, it's against their freedoms, against their religion, maybe. And that's how some people avoided the draft. They said it totally goes against their religion. Some cases, if education or moving into different types of job routes, okay, that is another way you could maybe avoid it. Or obviously, if you have any type of disability, you could avoid the draft. But for the most part, it was very popular. Many people wanted to get involved. Okay, yeah, here and there you had some people that were totally against it. But again, the only war, like I said, that was familiar to America was the Spanish-American War. So to try to increase people to get involved, propaganda was created. Okay, propaganda. Try to influence the American public to getting involved in this war and participating in the Selective Service Act. So why didn't they just call it a draft? Well, like I mentioned with vocab, during the Civil War, they tried to have a military draft to get more participation in the Union. And there are actual reports of people, immigrants coming from Europe, being dropped off in the harbors in New York City and Boston, and literally getting off the boat, given equipment, given a uniform, and sent back on a ship to go fight in the South. Can you imagine that? It's like your first steps on American soil, and all of a sudden you're going down to fight in the South in the Civil War. That's pretty amazing if you think about it. These people couldn't really even speak English, some of them. And the draft caused a lot of issues in the Civil War. Right? They, again, going against people's rights, their freedoms. And it caused a lot of riots and rebellions, especially in New York City. You guys ever see the movie Gangs of New York? No? It's a really good movie. It's pretty violent, though. I just want to warn you. But it shows the draft riots and actually how the Union had to send ships and military soldiers up to try to put down these riots and these rebellions over the draft. So with Woodrow Wilson, he had to come up with a new idea to try to maybe persuade the American public in getting involved. And he created the name Selective Service Act rather than just plain old military draft. And a lot of it because the Civil War compared to the Spanish-American War wasn't even close. We thought we could just roll over any European country, that we had the most advancements and strong will. All right, is there any questions on the Selective Service Act? All right, we'll talk about the Espionage and Sedition Act more tomorrow and how that was trying to prevent any type of attacks internally against the US during wartime. All right, right now, I'd like you guys go to Canvas and modules. We'll do this together so you don't have any homework. Yeah, how cool is that? So I'm going to go through different forms of propaganda. I'll take my time here on these propaganda pieces so you can write down and analyze these pieces of propaganda. So you're going to go to Propaganda World War I at the very bottom. Click on that. I want you guys just to fill out this activity worksheet. So I'm going to put up pictures, okay, propaganda pieces, and you're just going to fill out these questions as I roll through them. So there's only 4 questions per propaganda picture. What's that? Oh, I forgot to publish it. No, my bad. Slacking. Didn't want you guys working on it last night or anything. So there you go. No, I know, right? You're like, oh, I can't wait to get on this activity here. Yeah. All right, so you guys see it now? I just want you to edit this sheet. I'm going to put up the pictures as we go through them then. You got it? Be specific though. Be descriptive. I don't want to see just 2 words. Okay? All right. So answer the questions fully. All right, so everybody have this form up. Oh, come on now. Let's go. We're going to try to go through 5 of them. If we get through 3 or 4, that's fine. Yeah, I know, right? We have the whole period.
You really haven't done it.
No.
Okay, you guys have this sheet up? All right, now we go to the picture. So this is propaganda picture number one, okay? You're gonna just roll through it for each propaganda piece. So this was the first one. I kind of talked about this one already. So you're just gonna analyze the picture, the propaganda piece, and answer the 4 questions, obviously, that is stated for the activity worksheet. So here's a propaganda piece you have to look up on the board here to complete it. So I'll leave this up for, how about 2 minutes, 3 minutes? It was 4. What we're doing here? All right, where are you going? Dave? It's not Mr. America either. Right. Huh? Yeah. Mr. America. Ms. O'Neill, do you want to play some music?
Oh, my goodness.
All right, that'd be cool. I would, but I'd probably get hit for copyright then. YouTube video get taken down. We don't want that to happen. Got a lot of subscribers, you know. They're waiting for these videos.
You know that is true.
No, I don't.
No, you know what I'm talking about.
The copyright.
No.
No. Oh man. Yeah. Hey, we done, Chloe? Are you? Is everybody finished with this propaganda piece? You better be specific, descriptive in it. I don't want to see just 2 words. I hope so. All right, ready? Second propaganda piece coming up. Oh. Oh. Oh, I froze it. There we go. Oh my gosh. Look out. Think about it a little bit. Okay, a Han is like a German soldier, okay? So you can look at it by the pointy helmet. You can see what he's looking at. A samurai. A samurai. Oh, fireworks. There you go. Okay, so does he look like a nice guy? He has blood over his fingers, blood over his bayonet. He looks like he destroyed where he was located, right where he's at. He's looking over a body of water, which is probably symbolizing what body of water?
Atlantic.
Atlantic. There you go. So we're in America looking over at Europe, and he's looking at us saying, "Uh-oh, we're coming for you next." Oh, here, I got a Liberty bonds. There we go. So Hun's looking across the Atlantic Ocean, staring down at his next victim, which is probably the United States if we don't join. Right? If we don't buy Liberty bonds, which is helping support the war effort. There you go.
A Hun is a member of a warlike Asiatic nomadic people who ravaged Europe in the 4th and 5th.
Jeez. Complete sentences? I hope so. Nope. I'll see you tomorrow. Need any more time? No?
No.
Okay, one more minute. One more minute for Barbara. This next one's a good one. This next one's a good one.
I think your clock's still wrong.
I know. I fixed it even before the class period started, but obviously it didn't work.
Yeah, 6 minutes.
I got the whole period left.
6 minutes.
All right, next one coming up. Oh, destroy the mad brute. That is a gorilla. Look,
It's supposed to be the King Kong look.
Yeah, yeah.
look in the background here. Look in the background here. Oh,
It's
That was the background.
is it Europe?
look underneath his feet. What does it say?
America.
America. Yep. And then U.S. Army enlist.
Yeah, that's subliminal.
Who do you think the lady's supposed to symbolize?
They live in-
Oh, good job, Noah. There you go. There you go. What? Cassidy. She's getting abused. She's getting assaulted by the mad brute.
Yeah, they want
Then why-
to be See, look at, see how it says US Army involved?
She's also, I didn't create it. I'm sorry.
Why'd you pick it?
Things on the list of
I don't know why you picked that.
I mean, the dehumanization of Germany. That's why I got it. Look at it. Oh, gorilla. Bloodthirsty gorilla. Ah. Next part.
it?
I like it, yeah. Fits. Poor Lady Liberty. Oh my gosh.
Nasty German.
Mm-hmm. You need more time on this one? One more minute, one more minute.
What does it say on this thing?
Kultur, which is pretty much just meaning German culture. Yeah. Just how they're nationalistic, how they're warlike. What did you say? Oh, geez, Eddie. All right, well, we probably won't finish up the next one. We'll go over these next two tomorrow, okay? So no homework for tonight, unless you didn't finish, obviously 1, 2, or 3. But there you go. There you go. Propaganda. Propaganda.